Let's call to order the meeting of the Urbana Free Library Board of Trustees for February 11, not February 11.
Hey Jane, it's Celeste.
March
I'm going to put you up on
10.
the table, okay? Here you go. I'm going to put you right by Chris.
Who's that one now?
That's Jane.
We thought we had her here.
But you know,
That's Therese.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, that's
We
Therese.
thought we had both of them here.
Well,
No?
Jane didn't answer.
Oh, okay,
But she did
okay.
answer Celeste's cell phone, so.
Be downstairs.
Call the meeting to order. Let's have a roll call.
Okay, John?
Present.
Beth?
Present?
Chris?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Barbara Jones?
Here.
Lupe? Here. And we're missing Barbara Bennett, and Jane and Sharice are here by phone.
Phone, yeah.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, gotcha. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
One page, one number.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment? I see no public. Okay, there's public, yes. Presentation, the Champaign County Historical Archives. Tom?
Are you ready for me?
Yes.
We sure are.
That was quick.
Oh, over there. We're going to direct your attention.
All right. Well, I'm here today to present on Olmeca Bay, and I would like to say welcome again. I met some of you probably approximately 1 year ago when I presented before on the bylaws. But here I'm here for something very different. So basically, our Olmeca page is a digital exhibits platform, and we're utilizing it to take former exhibits that we've had in the library and repurpose them for our digital exhibits page. We have quite a few exhibits from the past 5 or 6 years that we can use for this purpose. Right now, I have about 5 of them up here that are in different stages of being complete. Some of the things that are beneficial about this is we have scrolling carousel images. I've made these larger and kind of added some more, because originally it was just 3 or 4 images. For users, this is very beneficial because people that missed our exhibits can view them again, and also people with mobility issues can see them from home if they can't make it to see our exhibits in the library.
You have reached the maximum time permitted for recording your message. If you're satisfied with the message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2. To erase and re-record, press 3.
I tried.
Do you think we're going to lose her now?
No, we never had her in the first.
Oh, we never had her.
No, so it's just.
If you're satisfied with the message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2.
This is technology.
Are we going on here?
Okay, Therese, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, we're moving.
If you're satisfied with the message, press 1.
I'm going to have to call you back, okay? Just a moment.
Technology.
I know. I was so pleased because we're going to be able to get them both on the same phone, and it didn't work, so we'll try it again.
Sorry, the message.
I think I was going to get both of them.
Okay.
Got you again. Okay.
Okay,
Hello?
we got you. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we're listening to a presentation on the archival history
All right.
and genealogy.
I will
I'm
restart.
listening.
Sounds good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is our digital exhibits page. It is called Olmeca. We have not, it is not live yet. We are currently still building it. We're mostly utilizing it to repurpose old exhibits that we've had in the library. You know, we've done a lot of great research over the years putting together our exhibits, and we thought it was kind of a shame just to not have a way to reutilize them. And also for people that weren't able to come to the library and see them, they could see them. Also people with mobility issues, people outside of the state. Realistically, anybody with internet access across the world should be able to see our exhibits. And beyond that, other researchers from around can see things that are in our special collections. They can familiarize themselves with some of the work we're doing, and it might give them some ideas for coming to do research themselves. Currently, we have just 5 exhibits up. They are in different levels of being complete. Our most complete ones right now are this one that I had done a couple of years ago. To give you an idea of what a digital exhibit looks like, there's images that you can click, and added text that surrounds it. And when you click on an image, it'll give you the metadata. And also you can click on it again, and it'll give you the full image. So people, this is a great resource for people that really want to see things in our special collections that they can't see otherwise. A lot of people aren't, as interested in looking through some of our folders and other larger special collections, and this really gives them a way to like look into what we have and what we offer. Omeka is a pretty good resource. Basically, the way you build exhibits is you add the images first, and then once you have all these images added in like kind of the back of the exhibit page, you also then add the text, and there's different templates that you can add. Some of the templates just let you do a single image, like you saw with this one, where there's a single image on the side and then text, and then there's also text, or you could do like a group of images across the bottom. Beyond that, there's also other cool things you can do, like in this exhibit that we have about gambling hotspots. If you go to this gambler's row and go to the bottom, it also lets you include a live map where you can actually see where some of these places are that were in the community. So give people a little bit more of a temporal idea of where these things were if they were interested. Other than that, we are in the beginning stages, or like more past the beginning stages, but we still have a lot to go. We need to add more to the exhibit pages, but we have 5 up here right now, and I would say this one's 100% complete, this one's near 100% complete, and the other ones are somewhere between 25 and 100% complete. Everything's been started, I just need to include more images, and the slow part is when I do add images, I have to input all the metadata myself, and that does take a little bit of time, but it also makes it so when viewers see our stuff, they know where it came from, they know how to find it in the archives if they visit, and they can see it for themselves if they come in person. We're hoping once we get a lot of our previous exhibits up there, we can start developing original exhibits for our Omeka page, but that'll be a little bit down the road. We still have quite a few excellent exhibits that we've done over the years that we would love to put up here for others to see.
Is the search by exhibit or by word?
I believe you can search in both ways. I haven't really navigated the search bar as much yet. I've been mostly building the website. I think it'll search just terms that are used within the site itself, so I think it'll direct you to the collections, exhibits, and records associated with that. So if you were to search something like Mary Busey, you would get, her photographs plus her collection plus her exhibit.
Okay.
So, Tab, you said you've got 5 going here. How are you deciding which ones you want to put when? So do you have like a prioritized list, or how are you saying, oh, this one is definitely?
I'm personally, so a few of these were added by our previous volunteer who kind of like did the foundation for this website. And from there, I've been, like, she added this one and the gambling hotspots and also the early Jewish life. And I've added the Ebert one and the Chanute Field one, or just Chanute in general. I'm doing Chanute because we have so many great blog posts over the last couple of years with tons of great images, and that's going to kind of be like a living exhibit that we'll continually add to as our interns and other people write about Chanute. And for Ebert, I thought it was more of like a cultural thing. It like gives more of a pop culture exhibit for people to look through. Some of these other ones are a little like older things that like certainly are interested to a lot of other people, but I think, now the 70s and 80s is history, and we really need to highlight that history. One of the next exhibits I would like to put up on here is one that a gentleman named Perry Morris, he's the vice president of the museum. He did an exhibit on the art theater a few years ago, and there's tons of great imagery associated with that. So I'm trying to like pinpoint things that, highlight pop culture, highlight our community, and just kind of highlight different elements of what we have to offer in our collections.
I guess I'm still on the search method. If people are not familiar with what they might want to look up, is there a contents of exhibits page or something of that nature?
So in order to see the so there is a collections tab that you can click, and when you go to the collections tab, it'll show you all the images that are associated with a particular exhibit.
Okay.
That's not necessarily the same as being able to like see a list of search terms, I guess. But eventually, once I have a little bit more time, I'll be able to add more metadata to back it up, including like tags and subject headings. Right now, like since I'm basing them off of previous exhibits, when we build those exhibits, we don't necessarily keep track of all the Library of Congress subject headings or what tags would be necessary to identify those things. But once I get enough exhibits placed up on there so we can put it live, those are things I'll be able to add in the future that make it easier for people to search by terms. But if you are just to go to the collections page, it has all the images that are associated with a particular collection. And some of these things I've reached out to other people in the community to like build upon. Like we didn't have a picture of the school that Ebert came from, and I was able to find one without Perry. There's a few things I got permission from the university to use. So I'm reaching out to other sources if we don't have those things available in our collection to make sure that the exhibits look very good.
So does this, I can see both a plus and a minus. Does this allow for people who might be really excited about this to say, oh, hey, I have this additional piece of information and that they might want to comment on it or somehow they're say, hey, can you add this to it?
Sure.
Because the downside is that then, trolls.
Yes. I don't think we have I don't believe Omeka has an ability to add comments to the page itself, but I can imagine that when we do make this public, we'll probably do some sort of social media announcement. And then as we add other exhibits on the line, we'll probably also do social media announcements to say, hey, we have this new Omeka exhibit, please look through it. And then, we're always welcome for donations. If people come into us all the time with interesting things that they might want to add to our collections. And the benefit of Omeka is that it is easy to add anything, no matter if the exhibit's completely done or not, you can add anything at any moment.
But who could add that? Will it have to come to you to add?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, no, we won't let our
Okay.
patrons add.
Okay.
So can someone search by name? Is that, I didn't get all that.
Yes.
If that name is within the Omeka exhibit, they can search. People will be limited by searching what is available within the actual Omeka platform that we have.
And this can be done also with the app?
I'm not sure if there is an Omeka app.
Well, good question.
If there is, that's a great question, and we will certainly look into that.
Okay.
Others? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice addition. Oh, Celeste?
We are delighted to thank the Friends of the Urbana Free Library. When they have the book sales every year, they raise funds, and the funds from the book sale are what pays for a must-have.
Right here. Omeka is provided by the Friends of the Urbana Library.
Great.
There you go, Sam. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
I hope it was informative.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the draft of the 21 budget.
Just gonna pull up the chair. So I have good news for you. This is a good, solid budget. The city, I don't want to say gave, that's the wrong word, but the city is allowing a 2.25% wage increase to the base of wages for their employees, non-union employees. They're bargaining with their unions. And we have done the same. You've got a copy of the pay scale with you, and then you've got a copy of the document we'll walk through. For non-staff wage lines, overall, there's a 2.2% increase. And then the last couple of years, the library took a cut to our FICA, the contribution that the city was making. There was no cut this year. So that is good news for us. In an ongoing manner, we're still not getting $114,500 in FICA reimbursement. That is a standing ongoing cut to what the budget is for us, but no fresh cuts this year. So what we did, of course, is we looked at the strategic plan and looked at different initiatives so that we could support the plan in the work that we do. So when you look through this, you can see that we've added more programming and outreach hours. So it's for the adult and youth services, full-time and part-time librarians. Instead of doing programming and outreach 11% of the time, they're going to be doing it 13% of the time. And then there's also been an addition of hourly staff to work on different projects and outreach as well. So, for example, we're now going to be attending the downtown get-downs, which is not a thing that we were doing before for a year because it's brand new. But we looked at different ways to reach out to our community. We're also looking at different ways to reach out in the development promotion budget to spend money differently and more money on promotion, doing things like reaching out to community members with a postcard, welcome to the community, come and get your library card, and trying some new ways to engage our community like that. So one of the questions that people ask is how much are you, how much money is spent on, how much money is received from the different revenue sources. So just on page 3, there's a nice big chart. Of course, property taxes have the biggest percentage of that, and the other ones are smaller. Another question that you might have is what's happening with minimum wage? So you got a copy of the wage chart. There are 2 wage lines for the shelter baristas because for the first minimum wage increase that would start this fiscal year, July 1st, the minimum wage is being raised to $10 an hour, but you would see that our employees are already making more than $10 an hour come July 1st. The next increase is January 1st, 2021, and the staff would be making just under that. They'd be making in the like 1078s. So the shelter barista wage line starting January 1 will be increased to $11 per hour at the base, and then it goes up for the step 1 and step 2 wages. We talked about it in here just briefly. We are not increasing other wage scale lines at this point. There's still a gap between the shelter baristas and other employees. But we anticipate that next year, when the wage changes January 1st, 2022, that will start impacting other wage lines. We have received a tool I've mentioned to be able to look at compression and see how many wage lines you would increase, what makes sense, and what the different costs are. So we're taking a look at that. But it's a complicated tool to use, and the fact that we have not just the step in the wage increase to the baseline, but people get bumped up a step, and a number of those have wage increases as well. Makes it more complicated to get a true cost of what things.
So is this budget reflecting the January 1 to the June 30th? Does it show now?
It's all in here.
Okay.
Yep, it's all in here. And it's all covered within our regular spending. So that's exciting news that we were able to incorporate the raise for those staff people. So in addition, I've got some information about funds to come out of, we're recommending funds to come out of the fund balance. So for example, this year, the city allowed us to increase our levy by $10,000 to do the compensation study, but we're not going to be able to get to it this year. And so we are going to do it next year if you let us do that by using the $10,000 that didn't get spent this year. So it's into the fund balance and out of the fund balance. We are also looking at, every year we budget so that if people separate from library service, they get a deposit made into their RHS savings plan. So we always budget a certain amount of money. We save money towards this every year, but we budget as if some people are leaving so that we can spend it. So we may not spend the $21,000, but it's available to us if we need to. And I picked the top 3 highest levels of expenditure for people. So if the 3 top people that have savings in this way leave, that's how much it will cost. And hopefully those people do not leave.
Do most of the people, is that what you just said, most of the people have chosen that option?
So it's a plan that the library provides for staff.
Yeah.
And once you have hit 300 hours of sick time in your sick leave bank, you're automatically enrolled in this program.
Okay.
And then you start accruing less sick time because sick time is put aside for the savings for you. And then when you retire, you got this pool of money. And every year, if you're in the plan in July, a deposit is made into it as well as a deposit being made at separation. So it's a nice benefit. Also, coming from a special fund to show that there's a difference in revenue and expenses, there's $53,185,000 difference. And so on page 3, it shows you what the difference is. The foundation did not have a quorum when they met last month, so they were unable to vote on a potential budget of expenditures for the library. So what we did is we held back all of the possible expenditures because we're not sure what they're going to vote on. But we did want to include in our budget, there's some money towards staff and archivist, intern, and then money for development and promotion staff that support the foundation's work. Because of all the pieces and parts of payroll and FICA and IMRF, we included that $22,100 in the regular budget. The foundation money, if approved, will go into the budget, but it's better math for us to have it in here now and show that we're in the hole, so to speak, but we know that that money's forthcoming. If not, we'll find the money elsewhere within our budget. So that's why you will see I've clearly laid out revenue expenses difference and then explain what the difference is. Part of it's coming from fund balance and part of it's expected foundation spending.
Have we relied on the foundation for any staffing in the past?
Yes, the foundation has been paying for a couple of years for an archives intern
Okay.
and for development promotion part of their time. So there is a separate sheet for all of the 810s, which are our gift funds. I mentioned that they would be attached. Sometimes Munis, the financial system, can be a little wonky, so it's not attached. What I have here is the very specific detailed breakdown, which is not generally what the board sees, and it has particular donors' names on it, so I'm not going to put it in the board packet. What you normally get is the roll-up, so like administration gifts, not specific gifts.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, you're welcome to see this, and what I'll have for you tomorrow is I'll figure out how to roll it up better, and I'll email you the summary version of this. But what we've done with the 810s is pretty much budget to spend what we expect to receive, which is what we've been receiving, generally speaking. We've got a nice consistent stream. We get between $1,000 and $1,500 a year, for example, for adult book gifts. And then we spend that money. So things like that, archives, gifts. So what we have done is, again, we intend to spend what we receive, and there are a couple of places in which we intend to spend into the fund balance. For example, we have a lot of money in the Friends book sale for adults put aside, and what we want to do is spend an extra $5,000 into the balance to increase our world language materials for adults, because that is a priority in the strategic plan. So there are a couple of those pieces as well. In addition, we would like to, as we've discussed, take the $300,000 from the Vincent Green gift and the $125,000 from the Helen Whittick gift and have those go into the holding of the foundation, as we talked about, so that they can get interest on it and put those towards a building fund, because those are the reasons those gifts were given. So that is a large dip into the fund balance, but they were given for a purpose of building expansion or renovation, and that's what the foundation does. And so in the finance policy, it indicates that that is the thing that the board can do, is shift money that way. So that is for you to consider. And then, so that's the 802s, the general fund, the 810s, the gift fund, and then really good news from the 820s. The 820s are the revenue stream, an expense stream from the building across the street, the Urbana building. And we have been renting out all 4 units this year, and we hope to have all 4 units rented out next year, which could give us a profit of just under $5,000. Now, we may need some roof work, so maybe we won't have a profit of $5,000. But it is nice to see, if you look back, there wasn't a budget in the budget from 2018, but you can see we're gradually earning a little bit of money on this, and it's nice to be in that position. So what you don't see here is savings towards future IT costs or future facilities costs. That is not in the budget right now. It's something that we want to look towards in increasing our fund balance generally. We know that next year, we expect next year to have a difference with the minimum wage increasing. We're interested to see how that goes. And virus economy, who knows what's going to be happening in a situation writ large. But
That was going to be my question. I know you've been thinking about how it will impact library, and there's some obvious things that come to mind, like service hours and what happens if the schools are closed for a while. I'm looking at the pie chart and where we get our revenue from. It's not obvious to me how the various scenarios play out with the COVID-19 virus, how it would affect us on the income side. But I'm not the expert. I thought I'd ask that question. This is really a broad question of, and maybe this isn't the time for you to talk about everything, but at least from the standpoint of budget, how might it be impacted by the various scenarios with that virus?
property taxes, we receive the year after. So we're getting property taxes this year based off of last year's value. So if things go south in a way and property tax values decrease because of the different situations that occur financially, then it would be a couple of years before we feel that impact. And I don't know how bad it could be. I don't know. There's a lot of economic development happening in the city, so they're working quite a bit to put these new structures up. The hotel's going to be turning itself around, and there's 2 other big buildings, and then Stone Creek is moving ahead. So hopefully, even if the property value overall goes down, perhaps there could be enough new growth to counteract that, but that's really broad.
Yeah.
That's all I got right now, though.
Okay, no, and those are sort of a lot of indirect impacts, but nothing specific that you can see in the immediate horizon. That if we have 6 months where the kids aren't going to school and we have to close the doors for parts of the day, we're ready for that.
We have enough money. We have enough money to run the library through the year. We would receive the taxes for this year, if nothing else. We would need to buy more hand sanitizer.
What about operational costs that might be involved?
Like
Well, the
facilities or what?
Well, are we on 6.3 here, or should I hold off on it? I mean, the agenda has...
If you don't have questions about the budget, we can absolutely move to that.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't clear whether we were segueing into that
These are
or...
budget-related questions, but I bet there's a bigger programmatic question that whenever you want to talk about it, I would be interested to know.
Okay, so why don't we hold off until we discuss the operational stuff and then see what its implications are for the budget?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fine.
It's probably a crazy question to ask at this time, but has the foundations moving to online selling of books impact the area?
Thank you, Chris. So the Amazon sale is going well. We expect to bring in about $8,400 this year. And then there's about $3,000 that we receive as part of the $8,000 that's postage cost, and then a couple $100 for supplies, envelopes, and things like that. So we expect a profit of, let's say, $5,000. And that is a great boon. That is a new source of revenue, enhanced Goal 1.
Yeah.
And so that's been really great for us. It's primarily done by volunteers. 15 minutes a day in the morning, and in the afternoon, shelvers come and they check to see if anything's been purchased, so they can wrap it up and get it in the mail so that we can be timely about that. But the selection and the other pieces and parts are done by volunteers, which is great. And these are materials that have been donated to the Friends of the Urbana Free Library. So,
Postage and costs are included in what the consumer pays?
correct.
Okay. Is that a flat? Is it kind of like
$2.99.
Amazon does?
Yep.
Yeah.
So sometimes it costs us more to mail it, and sometimes it costs less. Overall, we make a few dollars a month on the postage part.
Any further questions? You want to delay till the rest of it? If you have other questions, you may think of something.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Let's move on to your meeting with the city and every other group around town and what we're all concerned about now.
Yes, we sure are.
The virus.
So it's a fluid situation, as you all know. Any given day, there's a new report coming out, new comments being made. It's, the state's now in a disaster relief zone. The good news is that means that FEMA funds are available. So in working with my colleagues at the city, they're definitely looking at the kinds of things they need to do to run the city if they are not on site. So do you need to buy more laptops? Do you need to buy video cameras? What are the different things you need to do to run that are directly related to this? So we will be talking with them and learning from them, because I have never worked with FEMA on getting reimbursement for operational things. So we will help. We will rely on them. We're working, starting with the federal government, the CDC, and we're relying heavily on the local Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. And they are leading the path for us. The #1 goal is to keep people out of the health chain if they don't need to be there. So again, recommendations like get your flu shot, because that will keep you from going to the hospital or your doctor for the flu. There's no shot for this virus yet, of course. So we're promoting with staff the basic things. You'll see signs throughout the library the 3 C's cover, stay home, wash your hands, and cough into your elbow, and we're recommending that. Every staff person's been given a hand sanitizer. We have them available. We're wiping down our stations more often. Surfaces are disinfected every night. We have, was it you, Rachel? We've got cute little jazzy signs reminding people to wash their hands for 20 seconds, and there are song lyrics next to it. So the ABC song, sing it twice, but these are contemporary pop songs.
Right.
So that was a really cute, fun thing to encourage the hand washing behavior. So there are teams of people working on this, and we're talking with people at different institutions. So we are working to see what's going to be recommended and go with that. So for example, if the schools are let out because 50% of the students have the virus, I don't know that we would stay open, because they will all come here and bring the virus here. And what our job is to help stop the spread of the virus. So being open in a situation like that wouldn't be prudent. So we're just going to take it one step at a time. But we have resources. So the Vernon Area Public Library District has a procedure set for pandemic. It's a pandemic response. And they have been in step 1 since the fall with cold and flu season. So generally they just run through these things. So put out more hand sanitizer and wipes in the fall. They have some steps. So we're looking through this, and we're going to change it for our needs. And then they have another one that is the FEMA and the CDC have another checklist. So we're already doing it. We're on our way. We haven't started. And it lists different elements that one might consider for pandemic procedures. So Dawn is leading our team of people. We're meeting regularly and, again, talking with colleagues in libraries across the state, as well as our other resources. And then we're updating staff and keeping you in the loop as well.
Who makes the decision, Celeste? Like, if the schools close, do you consult with the mayor or the city council, or is it your decision alone to close?
It's my decision, but I always call
Okay.
Chris when that kind of thing comes up.
Thanks.
And we have an emergency closing policy, and so we follow that. So for example, if we were to close midday on a day, people who are already in the building get paid, and if the state library stays closed a couple days, then only people who are on the schedule that are benefited get paid. So there are different rules. So we are looking at our policies as well. People have sick leave time, and they may be close to their limit, but if they're told to quarantine themselves and they do that, is that a thing that we would relax our sick leave policies and let people dive into a negative for a little while? And then, what would that look like? So again, the city is looking at how that works for them. They have multiple unions, different ideas, looking at other libraries and seeing what makes sense for us.
So is that written in our policy now? Is there any leverage now? It's just kind of black and white.
What it does say is if you're a new employee for the first 6 months while you're accruing your leave, your health leave and your other benefits, that you can dip in 48 hours into the negative, but there's no other circumstances there. People can take FMLA, but of course that's unpaid.
Right.
Do you anticipate that we might be a source of information, because everybody's feeling like mass media is doing a terrible job of it in some cases, and so that we might get phone calls? Do you anticipate any of that? And do you have somebody in your staff that's going to be chair of that?
Well, the reference desk takes all the calls.
Okay.
So just like other reference questions, people are very interested in this on staff as well. We've been sharing resources that are reputable, and there are even places that say, here are scam websites.
Yeah.
Because of course there are.
I assume the local public health districts would be available for calls.
Yeah. They're so good.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, because she brought up the sick leave. In the event that there is a staff member or someone that runs out of sick time, let's say, I'm not even thinking about the COVID-19 as much as just the flu, because like I said last night at the council meeting, the flu has been also very, prevalent this season. So if a person runs out of sick leave, what happens then?
Well, currently they can use vacation or personal leave depending on circumstances. And I can say in the time I've been here, some people tend to run lower because of their circumstances, but people have been able to use leave and not go unpaid.
Okay.
So our experience is that it has been worked out with people in their own personal banks.
If that reached a crisis, would you say that the board would have to approve, or would you think that would be within your jurisdiction to approve undeserved leave?
Well, it's not in the policy,
I
and
know
this
it's not.
particular policy doesn't say, and the executive director has the ability to do the different pieces, which is something other policies say, that I have my discretion. So we're going to be looking at this, again, as it gets tighter in time, and we've got time to think about it. Come back to you in April with the, we want to leave it just the way it is. Other institutions are doing that, we feel comfortable with it, and we know what people's leave banks are, and it looks good. Or maybe in this circumstance, or in the case of a pandemic, we want to have a rider on there.
Yeah, I think April would be the latest. Doubling time is 5 or 6 days. We don't know for sure, but there's probably a couple dozen cases in town now. So any decisions we want to make better be by April, because I'm not sure we'll be meeting a month after that.
And we could certainly have if it looked critical, we could have a
Emergency
special board
meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
That you could change the policy, certainly.
Yeah, I think, if you go, say, 8 weeks from now, the chance that we'd be in a room like this with nobody having it would be very low.
And I think we talked a little bit about this, and I know in other institutions, there's talk about how to train to do this, but you've been considering the possibility of doing online board meetings.
Well, the state doesn't allow that.
Yes, but if the state declares an emergency, here's the...
Which they've done.
But yes, so here's the interesting discussions going on. This is a policy unless it's an emergency. So that's how a lot of conversations are starting these days. So this might be something that the state says, here's an emergency, and therefore libraries. So have you given any thought to what that might look like, and what some of the conversations I have in my day job are, well, there might be time set aside to train people on how to use video conferencing software, or maybe not even just audio software, something that will allow people to continue to have virtual meetings and get business done.
Absolutely.
We're looking at two options, Zoom and WebEx. And one thing that was discussed today was that potentially the public access counselors are the ones that investigate Open Meetings Act and claims, and perhaps for a window of time, they don't. Like, that's a possibility. So as opposed to changing the law, perhaps this other type of grace is given.
Okay, can't we, we're able to join remotely now, some of us.
You have to have a quorum in person.
I'm very pleased to hear how proactive you're being. I have a sister who lives in Hong Kong, and so is 6 weeks ahead, and years ahead in terms of the culture and how they manage crises like this. My sister's lived there for more than 30 years in China and then Hong Kong, and so they've been through H1N1 and SARS and now this. And so she's been talking to us a lot. We've been talking to them a lot about sort of why Hong Kong actually has handled this extremely well. And I'm glad that our leaders are, like you, Celeste, are on top of this and trying to anticipate the worst case scenario and plan for it. The thing that is maybe the most difficult is the culture. So we're not used in this community. We're not used to a comfort level with masks, for example, and that would have to change if, as Michael says, if we're doubling every 5 or 6 days, how long And that's not out of the realm of possibility. In fact, it's just watching what's going on in Washington.
I brought one just because somebody has to be the fool who does it first and not be too embarrassed, because I want to make a couple points about masks. It's not clear how well they protect you from breathing in droplets.
They don't.
Well, they actually,
Unless they're medical.
It's the other way around.
but they definitely protect other people from you breathing out
Yes,
droplets.
yes.
And the doctors I talk to say that what they're useful for, we touch our face about 90 times a day. It is impossible to break that habit. If you watch the public health spokespeople who go on TV telling you to break the habit, they're constantly doing it in the speeches. So what one of these does is it reminds you not to touch your face. If you start to do it, you say, oh wait, this is not an average day. So, anyway.
I just to complete the point, I think that what you're hearing from us is, number one, encouragement and support. Hopefully you're getting that. But also concern about us being very mobile about moving fast. If something happens, scheduling an emergency meeting is something we should be, we should know everything that we need to do to meet in a matter of days to give you the support that you need to do this.
Exactly.
And another thing is, so what are the chances that we're going to see closures of schools? I mean, that's a real crisis.
I know. My kids are going home, and we start spring break next week, and parents hadn't been told this, but my children came home saying, oh, we have packets that are going home at the end of the week in case schools don't come back after spring break.
Right.
So teachers like I said, they haven't even communicated this to the parents yet, but both of my children's teachers told them today that they were preparing work and they're bringing all their books home and everything.
Yeah,
on Friday.
Harvard is not going back. They've got 5 days to clear out the dorms, and that's it.
And U of I sent around an email to parents late this afternoon.
There's a
saying-
list of about 40 universities that have already
Right.
posted, and it's growing. I like the way they say, well, universities tend to have a herd mentality, and so that's being watched very carefully.
U of I hasn't announced anything yet.
What they announced is that students should bring with them things that would allow them to attend class remotely. So in other words, don't leave your books in your dorm. Take your books with you so that if they change to a remote system, then you're ready to hit the ground running.
As of today, my wife and her colleague just put their 2,000 students, many of whom were already online. They're now completely online. So.
I had a question about the information you're giving out at reference, and kind of to add to what Chris is asking. There is so much information out there, you almost drown in it, and some of it's inaccurate, and some of it's fake. And my question to you is, do you have, if somebody calls, do you have a list of reliable resources, like our public health department?
Right.
I swear to God, they're as good as CDC. I mean, they are just excellent. And then there are other sources that aren't, like how to clean your cell phone. I mean, I've read dozens of different things about how to clean a cell phone. What I'm getting at is I mean, I
Yes.
trust, I know reference librarians are great, but
Yes, to your point. We
Yeah.
have on our intranet, we created
Okay.
a button with all the other different buttons saying, click here for benefits, click here for information on COVID-19.
Okay, that's what-
And Dawn and Rachel have been curating that.
great, thank you. The other question related to that is, how do you draw the line between giving medical advice and giving reference advice? Because
We don't
that...
do medical advice.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you draw that line in this case? Like, if somebody says, what's the deal about a mask? Because some people say, and what's the deal about eyes? Like, my husband heard Julie Pride say, don't worry about your eyes. And then other things say, worry about your eyes.
Like
So,
what?
Worry about your eyes.
so,
Lupe, what would you have to say about eyes?
What about your eyes?
but that's the kind
It's
of
a new
thing.
memory,
I mean,
so.
you know,
Yeah.
So one thing, we have a pretty mature
Clientele.
folks that come in.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm harkening back to Hong Kong, they're doing in situations like that is when staff comes in the morning, they're being checked for their temperature. So if they're having any symptoms of a cold even, they're sent home.
Staff are being sent home.
Now that sounds extreme, but it may be that we're headed toward that. I think in the healthcare industry, we'll probably do that. What you think?
You get into the bargaining units, and we start getting some pushback on if we're able to do those kind of things.
Well,
Really?
We're in. It's going to be a new paradigm.
I mean, but it's a thing, yeah, we're in uncharted territory, but I guarantee that would be the first thing that we would get pushback
Because you're
from the
protecting
bargaining
the
unit.
members as well.
I
So
mean, we sort of have to decide if we want to be South Korea or Italy this time. And I think we want to be South Korea.
Has there been any thought to curtailing programs that are already scheduled?
That's one of the
ahead
I would
of
ask.
any actual closures, but
We are
Large
poised to
groups.
cancel things if we need to, but we are waiting to see what it looks like in the community because we don't have test results, so we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And people are coming here voluntarily. And so they know that, hopefully at this point, they know the risks that they are taking and they'll make informed choices and they won't infect others. So again, contain yourself if you're feeling unwell. So the Friends reached out when we talked last week, and they said, if need be, they would certainly cancel the book sale to get lots of people in the space. So, and the Fairy Tale Ball is coming up May 1st, the Friday. So that brings 1,500 people in 3 hours. So there are things that are definitely on our radar of, not touching my face,
Yeah, exactly.
So we're watching.
Yeah, Fairy Tale Ball and the Teen
Open Lab, we've got
Open
extra
Lab.
wipes. People are wiping down
Those seem to
stations.
think, but we have also been saying that it was not as effective, or not, children and young people were not as much at risk. But I do think that those would be things you'd want to consider real early on, maybe, because
well, they're not as a risk for complications,
But
they
contraction?
will carry the virus
yes.
like a nice little vector and take it everywhere they go.
Yes,
So,
yes.
they will still carry it.
Yeah.
It sounds like these are things that we're going to think seriously about canceling
We are.
in a matter of days.
Yep.
We're going to know more.
I noticed the staff are sitting very far apart.
I heard today that the 6 feet is actually preferably 12.
Huh.
That's another thing, yeah. Maybe it's more elderly folks, but because we've been hearing 6 feet for a while, but the latest is 12. Dangerous.
Maybe a year from now.
Just one more anecdote. A close friend is a prominent epidemiologist at Harvard, and I've known him since we were 3, actually, and he's never been afraid of germs. In fact, never washed anything. He's thinking of hiding out in a cabin in Western Massachusetts for the duration. So
It could be.
so I'm taking it very seriously.
It's going to be a while.
Okay. Lots of things ahead. Let's move on to the action items, consent agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or separation requests? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have on the consent agenda minutes of the February 11, payroll of February 14th, payroll of February 28th, bills for February 14th, bills for February 21, and bills for March 6th. Do I hear approval?
So
So approved.
We need a motion, really.
So
don't
moved.
we? Yeah.
Move to approve.
Okay. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye, thank you. Action items. Accept the Urbana Free Library Annual Financial Report. We got that last month.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you on that one. Resolution for the 2004 approval of the Urbana Arts Grant. What is the limit, $500 that we have to
It's
approve?
520.
25.
It's, well, because there's restrictions placed on the grant, it's more the restrictions that is why I'm bringing it to you versus the $520 in total.
Because it's piddly.
And we're delighted to have it. It's a great
Yeah.
partnership with
Yeah,
your
no,
Urbana Park District.
everything is really helpful.
Move approval.
Second.
Yes.
Somebody second?
I think
He moved it.
the second.
There you go.
Nobody else.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Budget amendment. Celeste, you care to discuss it?
Couple of small budget amendments
Yeah.
to move money within different funds.
A motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I thank you on that. Okay, reports from the liaison. Friends.
Barbara's not here, but I can report that the Friends are in theory looking forward to their next book sale. And again, they have volunteered to cancel it if need be, and we will talk to them about that.
When is it supposed to be?
The 2 weeks. 2 weeks starting Thursday.
The foundation meeting, again, is next week. Do we have anything new?
We've been planning, and this may or may not happen, planning an event for May to thank our donors. And so Amanda and I were talking about that today. If that is not the best option to be thankful this year, to celebrate our donors, we are looking at other things. The foundation meets next week, and we will talk about what that could look like.
Heartland.
Applications are currently open for Directors University, which is a program that is slated to run at the beginning of June for first-time directors and directors who are new to the state of Illinois. It is a joint effort between Illinois Heartland Library System, Illinois Library Association, reaching across Illinois library systems, and the Illinois State Library.
For that board position, when will that election be held?
I'm not sure.
I thought the ballots were supposed to come out sometime in March.
And who do you vote? Is that how it's done? Okay.
I know who I'm voting for.
And we have a candidate. Anything from the administrative board you want to give
Yes,
us?
I have great news from the City Council. Thank you very much, Sharice and other City Council members. They approved our major variance, which means we can have the parking lot laid out in the same direction, which is 90-degree angles.
Yay!
And
It is really.
they're going to, Fairgram, we talked last night, and they're looking forward to moving ahead on that. And so that is part of what will be in next year's budget, because it sure as heck won't be done by June 30. But we are super excited about that. And then also, we talked about cybersecurity being something that, Drew's still here? Nope. We are looking at cybersecurity as something that's important to us, and so we have, everyone's changing their passwords, which is good. It's been a little while, so we're up to date with that. And we're subscribing to a commercial resource that does little webinars and scenarios called Know Before, KNOWB4, and we'll be sending out modules to the board and the staff to practice and learn new things. I've taken 1 or 2 of them through the city. They were actually quite helpful. So if you get an email from Know Before, it's legit. If you have any questions, let us know. And then you can get, if you don't do it, you'll get a reminder reminding you to. It's worth your time. They're like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So just a quick little reminder of things to watch out for and not be taken advantage of.
KNOWB4.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll let you know to expect it when the first one comes out.
Does anybody have any idea when the parking lot will start to be repaved and everything?
No, they have to go out to bid first. And I'm sure we'll want to work around MCOR, which is starting at after the marathon in theory. So we won't want to, we'll try to not get in the middle of that.
Okay.
Do they know at which end? Are they starting at this end?
It sounds like they might be.
That's what I thought.
So that would start earlier rather than later, which is great.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Excited?
Yeah, it is. And then work on the hotel is going to be starting.
Even more so.
Wow.
Oh, that's really going to happen?
Never thought I'd see the day.
Oh, my God.
And
I know.
Donica and her colleagues did a beautiful job. I'm just going to brag on you and your colleagues for a second. The hotel people were looking for some information on the history of the hotel, what it looked like, and the vibe. And they found postcards and images and articles and all kinds of things right away. You turned around like 24 hours. The mayor was delighted. She passed it on. They were very pleased. So well done.
Good job.
Yes, very good.
So next thing we ask is for privileges to use when their lot's not full.
We'll work on that next.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, I have no report, would be for our closed session. Do I have a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
You need to read it.
Okay. Where is it?
The 5-1 LC.
I hereby move that that the board goes into closed session for the discussion of compensation and performance of personnel pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-2C1.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Roll call.
John?
Aye.
Beth?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Lupe?
Yes.
Sharice?
Yes.
If we can get you there.
Jane.
Jane?
Can she respond through this?
Yeah. It's a phone.
It's a phone call.
I said yes.
She said yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
And we will come back after that closed session.